The land of Shura had fallen under the heel of a brutal military, and the world was on the brink of nuclear apocalypse. To keep young Raoh safe, Master Juke of Hokuto Ryuken sent him to Japan to train under Raiken, master of the ultimate assassination art, Hokuto Shinken. Having seen the carnage and misery that his kin faced, Raoh promised the world that one day he would return to conquer Shura and set things right. In time, Raoh had conquered all of Japan and dubbed himself Kenno, the King of Fist. However, bandits and lawlessness spread even under his rule. It was clear to Raoh that to save the world from depravity, the fear of the legend of the King of Fist would have to be absolute. In other words, the one who had opposed Kenno and lived must be defeated. Only then could Kenno cross the sea to conquer Shura without his kingdom crumbling behind him. When the final battle with Kenshiro comes, Raoh is able to deploy Musou Tensei and his endless array of techniques to only narrowly defeat him. However, the death of Kenshiro and the capture of the last Nato general crushes the hope of any who would oppose Kenno. Now the time has come for Raoh to return to his homeland of Shura, but the danger he faces may be beyond even him. Joined by the pirate Akashachi, Kenno's army arrives on the beaches of Shura. A few masked men confront them. One in particular strikes fear into the pirates. The masked warriors cut through many of Kenno's army, but driven by an even greater fear of the King of Fist, they march on and eventually subdue the Shuran warriors. Eventually, Kenno's army reaches the third general's palace. Within the palace, General Han could not be more excited. He had grown bored from killing so many hundreds of demons, so he decides to end his boredom by confronting Raoh himself. General Han's fist is like a hurricane, but Raoh is unlike any demon that Han is used to toying with. Even Raoh's child Ryu can see things that no normal human can. While their speed is equal, Raoh's fist of strength begins to overpower Han's. Realizing he is losing, Han tries to finish the King of Fist quickly with his ultimate technique, Spear destroying White Net. But Raoh counters with his Heavenly Commander charge that blasts Han away. Seeing this carnage, a new fear washes over the Shurans. This is Raoh the Savior after all, the ruler of the new millennium. The third general of Shura is soon defeated. With his dying words, he tells Raoh that his older brother has been waiting for him, and that an unimaginable hell awaits him. As Kenno leaves Han's palace, he notices that the rivers have turned blood red. Soon, the entire land will be mobilized against him. The army of Kenno had faced stiff resistance at first, but village after village, he found that the lower classes of the land had risen up and overthrown many of their demon overlords. The only ones who could mount any resistance to Kenno now were the first and second generals of the land. The second, Hyo, meets Raoh face to face. Having crushed Han, the legend of the King of Fist and Raoh's self-confidence have never been more absolute. Raoh invites Hyo to attack. Wasting no time, Hyo enters a stance that seems almost more of an incantation than a fighting stance. Raoh laughs at first, but his world is quickly turned upside down when he loses his footing and the ground seems to disappear beneath him. Hyo moves in to finish the battle in one blow, all 1,108 pressure points at once, but as he approaches, he finds himself repelled by an aura of might unlike he'd ever seen before. Even without moving, Raoh repels all of Hyo's fatal attacks, but he is bloodied nonetheless. Hyo realizes that he cannot break through Raoh's aurora and maintain the Anryu Tenha field at the same time. He releases the field and goes on the attack, but as soon as the field is broken, Raoh unleashes the Iron Palm Blast, but Hyo barrels through. Seeing the determination in his face and his striking resemblance to Kenshiro, Raoh recalls his battles with his younger brother, and unleashes Musou Tensei. Hyo strikes nothing, but realizing his dire situation and what is at stake, the god of war appears above Hyo and his stance takes on a new style. Hyo lashes out and nearly slices Raoh in half. Deadly as this new stance is, it has no answer to Musou Tensei. Hyo's only option is to try Anryu Tenha and catch Raoh once more, but by the time Raoh materializes behind him, his pressure points have already been struck. Hyo recalls battles with Kaio, where the evil chi around him made it impossible to locate his pressure points. But Hyo could never command evil chi the way that Kaio could. He wasn't the demon Kaio was. He never had been. When Kenno at last reaches the castle of the first general of Shura, Raoh chooses to enter the throne room of his older brother Kaio alone. He announces that he has come to conquer Shura as the ruler of the new century. This is when the first general of Shura reveals to Raoh that he was the one to create the prophecy of Raoh the Savior. Once Raoh is crushed, so will be the hope of the entire world. Kaiô will create the new millennium ruled by Hokuto Ryuken. The King of Fists ignites his aura of might, but Kaiô opens with nothing less than his ultimate technique. Once again, Raoh was engulfed in Anryu Tenha. Kaiô joins him in the field and launches a blast of evil chi that shoots straight through Raoh's aura and burns his chest. Raoh falls to the ground beaten, but when Kaiô approaches, he is surprised by Musou Tensei. As long as Raoh is intangible, Kaiô cannot reach him. But Kaiô's Anryu Tenha is on another level from Hyo's. By combining Anryu Tenha with his evil chi mastery, Kaiô engulfs the entire area in a distortion field. Musou Tensei fails and Raoh is struck again, but the King of Fist never yields. "If I cannot spot you, then I will bring this entire castle down." The roar of Kenno battles with the spirit of the devil, and the entire castle crumbles about both of them. Bursting from the rubble in a cloud of blood, the two supreme rulers clash in a frenzy of blows, but as Raoh is bloodied, he realizes that Kaiô is unscathed. His chi was not even reaching Kaiô. The strength of Hokuto Shinken lies in the embrace of love and sadness, but by seeking strength through ambition and terror, Raoh was destined to lose to the devil, and the devil is exactly what Kaiô had become. Kenshiro's and the last Nato general's armies had been built on hope and courage. They were always willing to sacrifice their lives for their comrades. But Kenno's army was built on fear. Once Kenno had been brought to his knees, his army would crumble. This is when the army of Kaiô rushes in. Surrounded and alone, Raoh channels every bit of his energy into one last charge. But it is useless. Kaiô is won. Hokuto Shinken will be destroyed. The shadow of evil Hokuto Ryuken runs across the land of Shura, and portents of doom spread across the world. The millennium of the apocalypse has only just begun.